Welcome back, fellow restless spirits. Today you'll see, I don't know how to make my hands work to do both ways, but you might recognize these faces. I'm not sure. And I hope I pronounce everybody. Well, Brandon Alvis, that's pretty easy, right? And
yeah,
then
that's it.
Mustafa Gatollari.
Yes, you got it. Yes.
I meant to ask that before we got, because I do if you watch any video and I'm like, if not sure of the name, it could even be easy and I'll do that, but I'm glad I got yours. Okay, well, thank you both for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
And we're going to talk about something, well, a couple of things, a book and a new series you have, which you recently just we're recording on, I don't even know what day this is, June 14th. So it was last week you released the trailer, which there's been little teasers, like little photos and but now we have visuals and it's real and it's coming. We still don't know when or where yet. And I don't know, I won't press you. If you can announce it, you can. If you can't, we'll just keep the mystery going. But I'll let you guys, say anything you might want to add.
Oh man,
ahead,
I mean, yeah. Brandon and I remember when Ghost Hunters wrapped, we were kind of brainstorming ideas on the road for a book, to do a book together. And Brandon had this amazing classification system that he'd been developing. And then I was kind of keeping journal entries about all the investigations that we were on. And we were just kind of throwing ideas back and forth. So we said, we should really just write a book. So we did. We pitched a few publishers, 4 of them, luckily enough. I never had any kind of success when I was a fiction writer, trying to get stuff published. I had a few things here and there, but it was kind of insane. Just I don't know, when Brandon and I put these ideas together, a bunch of publishers were yeah, we want to publish it. So we went with Llewellyn, which has a storied history of the metaphysical and the supernatural, and the methodology that we devised in this book, we brought it to life in our show, Haunted Discoveries, and we put it into action. And Brandon was looking for a home, a permanent home for the American Paranormal Research Facility, and all of our research kind of brought us to one place. Wouldn't you say, Brandon?
Yeah, it's we were talking a little bit before we started recording about the pandemic and how everything kind of shut down and Zoom calls kind of became the way of life and things like that. So during that time, Mustafa and I really utilized that time to not only do the book, but really further our methodology in the way that we look at investigations and tackle paranormal research. But the biggest thing for me, and for a number of years now, is I've wanted to acquire a building that has a reputation for being haunted and somewhat proven to be haunted, because not only do I want to live in that facility, I want to use it as a research facility all year round. So Haunted Discoveries is a show basically that's documenting that process of trying to find and acquire a haunted facility, a research facility for myself, Mustafa, and the rest of APRA to conduct year-round research to really try and find answers to the possibility of life after death.
That's awesome. And where are you? Is it open to the public, or will you guys hold, public investor? What's going to happen with that?
Oh, well,
yeah.
we can't
We can't
reveal whether or not we found the forever home. That's part of the show. Yeah, I mean, I think to speak to that though, in terms of transparency of research, I think that's something that Brandon and I really pride ourselves on. Once the show's, debuted, we have no problems with, showing people the raw files. A lot of times on paranormal shows, stuff will get edited and cut together. And what's really cool about Haunted Discoveries, which is so awesome, is that we'll get stuff in the moment and activity in the moment on investigations, and it's all in one. A lot of times it's all in just one take. You see it all happen in real time. There's not clever editing and cutaways. It really, really is a docu-series. I mean, yes, it's reality, but it's a docu-series. It's not there's a difference between reality TV and docu-series. You know what I mean? So yes. That was the clear distinction we did with Haunted Discoveries.
That's so cool. And I failed to, like, I know the name of your book, but for other people, what is the name of your book?
Elements of a
Elements of a
haunting.
Okay,
elements
I
of a
don't know if you
haunting.
said that or not. And I was like, I better just make that clear so that people are like, well, what's the book? How do we get it? And they can order it online or in a bookstore or wherever, or go
Yeah,
Llewellyn's
Amazon,
site, Amazon.
Llewellyn, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, everywhere. Yeah, we have an Audible version as well too. So for those
Cool.
that like to listen to books, so we have Audible version that's available through audible.com, Amazon as well. So
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because I've been doing a lot of walking and listening to stuff. So that's good to know. Okay, good. And okay, so we don't know where because that's gonna be part of the show.
mhm.
Um, but the trailer was, oh my gosh, it's so good. I think I'll stay on screen. I just have to go to my notes really quick. Okay, so this is on you say in the trailer, Brandon says, I'm looking to take that next step in my research and my life to really fully immerse myself in the possibility of consciousness surviving death. I hope I find those answers in this journey, and I hope that I make the right decision. Okay, so what's the right decision? Like, I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, can you expand on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, the right decision would be, if acquiring a haunted location to not only live in but research out of, I would have to uproot my family and bring my wife and my son to be part of that. So it's a huge decision, not only from my life, decisions perspective, but if this location is truly haunted, how does that affect my family? How does that affect those that would be in a location day in and day out and living within it? So that's the big decision there is, I've always been a
Mm.
natural skeptic. There's a lot of people that call themselves skeptics that are just really non-believers. They just really don't believe. A skeptic is really someone that wants to find proof that it exists. So for me, I've always walked that line of believing and not believing. There's times where I'll be all in. I believe completely. Then 2 days later, I'm like, it doesn't exist. It's all bullshit. So it's tough. So for me, it's like really understanding if this phenomena is real and if it is taking place, how does that affect us as people, not only physically but emotionally? So that's something that I really have to look into and take into account.
And that would mean, what about your team? Were you guys together elsewhere before, or were you all separate, but now will you all be together?
Well, yeah, the team's kind of spread out throughout the country. I founded the organization here in California, but we brought other researchers. Mustafa, who's in Jersey. We have Kevin, who's in Louisville, Kentucky. We have researchers in Tennessee. We have researchers everywhere. People that that we trust and that we really think that does great work, that brings something to APRA. So the idea would be having this facility would concentrate all of our resources and our investigative techniques and methods into one place to really find out if there is life after death. So instead of running around the country, which is good and fun, seeing all these historical places, we really want to understand, can we test some of these theories we have? Can we really understand what the mechanics are behind said hauntings? And that's something that can be done when you have full control of a location and when you can control the environment. That's most important.
Oh, that's fantastic. So that's what a lot of people like. This makes much more sense because I don't remember which one of you, maybe both, saw a tweet I had made, and then people were commenting, and then that's how I learned about haunted discoveries. And they want to know, they want to see what you're doing. They were like, well, I don't understand why people are in going to all the, you can't find something in just a couple of hours. And you guys, so that's kind of, we're going to get to see, that's sort of one of the things you alluded to, apparently, then.
Absolutely. You have the standard television, right? Where, it's expected that you find something within 42 minutes, right? It's kind of a given, especially with the current slate of paranormal programming that exists now. It's kind of all the same show with a different name. And I don't mean any disrespect by that. I get a lot of flack for that sometimes, but in reality, these shows are the same. There's nothing new. There's nothing fresh. There's not a fresh perspective. And that's one thing with Mustafa and I, is that we really take pride and we take it very personally that we step out of the box and try and do things differently. And we want to tell the truth, not only from a historical perspective, but from a research perspective. We have no reason to fool people or make them believe that something's taking place that really isn't. So that's really important to us.
That's awesome. And do you have any favorite technique, Mustafa, that you like to employ that from your book that you've written?
Oh man, I think it's really tough to approach it from a purely technical standpoint, right? I mean, you have to kind of tailor your investigation and what you're doing to a specific, set of claims or the location of where you're at. If you're in a place that has a lot of noise pollution, for instance, you're going to want to try to focus on either minimizing that noise pollution, and if it's impossible to, then maybe coming up with ways where how can I get some other type of evidence of phenomena here. Let me focus on visual things. Let me focus on maybe, setting up different types of camera setups to see if we can find something there. But I will say one thing that we did touch on that kind of blends the technical with the personal, emotional, mental, whatever you want to call it, with an investigator or a team is, testing different theories that really get to the root of what the hell is it that we're experiencing and where does it come from. So the idea of thought form manifestation is something that we tested extensively, and it almost kind of came up by accident while we were filming, and we're just like, it's just something you can't ignore. So I guess in a long-winded say, what I'm saying is my favorite technique is not ignoring things. If something jumps up at you and you had this other plan of what you were going to do, it's great you had a plan, but because that shows that you were working towards something, but you have to know when to be like, this is the plan now. So this is the point of interest and this is what we're going to go after. So don't ignore anything, even if it seems inconsequential. That's my favorite technique.
Oh, so be flexible. I like that. I dig that you guys are so love the thumbs up.
I'm so flexible. I'm so flexible.
It's like, watch this. Let's do a little yoga back bend now.
No, not yoga. I'm flexible. It's different.
You're cracking me up. And what about now? Messed up everything. Jeez, got so excited about that. The flexibility. He's like, oops. And what about, has the response been pretty good so far? Like, it seems every time I turn around, it's like people are just like, you guys could not have done your publicity any better, because people, the buildup is just killing. It will be 2022 though, right? That we get to see.
Yeah, it's looking like fall. That's what we're thinking. So
okay,
it's
so at least we.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of moving parts with this, and one thing that we've done that's different than, say, what you see with a lot of Discovery Plus shows and typical programming that you're seeing is that we have the creative control behind it, which is really great. You know what I mean? So we're not beholden to certain things, which it makes it more unique and different. You're still going to have the same experience when it comes to a series and a product, but we've really went above and beyond when it comes to showing the true side of how things are done from a paranormal investigative perspective. So all of us, which a majority of people that watch these kind of shows, all go out and investigate. They're all part of the field. They all do their thing. I think that they're really going to like it. I think it's going to resonate with people because it's going to feel like the things that they go out and do, right? Not a 42-minute TV show.
Awesome. That's it's so weird, like that you brought that up with the skeptic and people. I just literally, before I hopped on here, I hit publish on a post about why most people feel that shows insult their intelligence, and it has to do with because Discovery Plus and Travel Channel caters to true believers. And so if you're a skeptic, which does not mean non-believer, my favorite quote is that skeptics make the best seekers. It's hard because you don't want that. You want what you guys, it sounds so. And I even referenced you guys. I can prove it. Like, I'll send you the link. You're in there. I was like, sounds like this is what you guys are going to be doing. And now I'm talking about it with you. I'm like, it is. So that's going to be great. And so will you, there was one other thing from the trailer there's some people that it's very emotional. I don't know if they're people that you have um, that have deceased. I'm assuming they have deceased loved ones, and you're either trying to help contact them, or I don't know. What can you speak to that at all? With the people that we heard in the trailer?
Yeah, I will say that there's a few recurring themes throughout the show. The one of the biggest ones is a very deeply rooted sequence of familial connections. That's a huge recurring theme that we've noticed, and one of Brandon's craziest cases he ever told me about at this wonderful location that I can't wait to get into, hopefully one day. But some really significant finds were there, and what was the connection with that? It was a deep familial connection, and then a bunch of cases where we had really what seemed like intelligent and energized, for the lack of a better word, type of activity. Some would call it, like, aggressive or whatever it is. It's always kind of had a deep familial connection. So that's something that people will see in Haunted Discoveries. Of course, it's very emotional. People are talking about, their ancestors, or people who maybe were a lot more recently deceased than your typical ghost story would say. And then another recurring theme is one, as corny and hippy dippy as this sounds, it's of love. Really, there's this kind of persistent love, and there's a strong correlation to a reaction of love or a lack thereof, and the type of activity you're experiencing. It almost seems as if the more a person loved the place, the more intelligent that energy that persists afterwards is. So, I mean, that's what we've been finding. Obviously, we have a lot more tests and stuff to conduct, but yeah.
So it sounds more scientific, but also you're bringing in, I don't know the word for it, but
I understand, like, emotional. It's like, you got the emotional storytelling human element, but I mean, you're not going to be able to really conduct true science because we're human beings who are participating in these experiments in a variety of different ways, right? So if you're not attacking that human element, you're not really doing the technical. There's no separation between the two. And I think a lot of programming tries to separate that. And that's why science and methodology gets a really, really, really bad rap. And it's because people see that and they're going to think, oh, it's boring. It's because it's presented in a boring manner. But we really pride ourselves on being able to tell these stories. And we know that there's a way to entertain people without basically BSing them. And that's harder to do. But we're going for that higher degree of difficulty instead of just shilling the same old swill that, gets tossed wherever. Anyway,
awesome.
Off my podium. Sorry.
No, I think a lot of people would be like, here, stand on it some more. So that's awesome. And will you be investigating? I know you kind of said it a little bit, but I'm not, and maybe you can't say, so if you can't, but will you be investigating other places? Like, will it be typical in that there's, several different places you go, or is it pretty concentrated to one?
Yeah, it's eight different cases. So there's 8 specific locations that we investigate in the first season, and each one has a very unique history. Amazing history, really. When we actually started doing the pre-production for the show, we looked at how many locations, Mustafa, did we look at?
We had a grand total of 272 that we culled down. Yeah.
And to 8. So we found 8 cases that we thought would have an impact, and 8 cases that we thought would have the best chance of the elements of a haunting, right? So through our years of research and the way that we've noticed the patterns and, certain aspects of history, certain things with geological makeup, topography, things like that, that we're like, okay, this place has a high probability of having something going on. Is it a ghost? Is it a haunted place? We can't really say that, but what we can say is that locations with this history, locations with this topography, locations with these types of environmental conditions typically have something going on. So we really narrowed it down to those 8 places, went out, met with some amazing people. I mean, going back to talking about some of the people in the trailer and the emotional aspect, some of these people have their heart and soul invested in these locations, and it means the world to them. And to be able to be part of that with them and to be let into their life, into their world, and allowing us to come in and investigate that was huge. And we had some amazing results that I think people really are going to be happy with for sure.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be fantastic. And for the book, do you have a follow-up planned at all, or not so much? Or
We're working on it.
Yeah, we have a very specific idea for the next book. We're going to go hopefully even more granular with it. So yeah, I think people are going to dig it.
And when did the book come out? I forgot to look at that on the
January 8th, 2022.
Oh, so it was this year. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. This is so exciting. I don't want to keep you guys too much long. I just wanted to, quick get a feel for the show, the book. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the book at all? Besides buy it.
Yeah, besides buy it. We put a lot of love into it, a lot of work into it. And, we do our best to really separate fact from fiction and really tell the truth about everything that happens on our cases. And not only that, the history of certain places, because a lot of times there are locations that are known for having a certain type of history that's a lot of times not true, just to trump up some of the ghost stories. And we want to do our best to tell the truth. And you don't have to have, blood and gore and horrible things happening in a location for it to have activity. As simple as that. It doesn't always have to be this unbelievably tragic, horrible story in order for it to have something going on. Like Mustafa alluded to earlier, some of the most active places we've been, the people that are possibly still there loved these places. The love and the familial connection, things like that, that's what led to the activity. It wasn't some tragic murder or something like that leads to it. So I think that if people are looking to read something that, has a wide spectrum of different types of cases and a different thought process, I think Elements of a Hauntings for you.
That sounds amazing. Do you have anything to add, Mustafa?
If you like spooky covers in the color purple, get the book.
Keep doing.
And not the book, The Color Purple. It's nothing like that. It's I mean, the actual color purple. No, I think Brandon summed it up perfectly. We did actually. I got some compliments from some writer nerd friends of mine who were very, very, very impressed with a specific narrative structure that Brandon and I use in the book, where we write the cases from like a third person perspective, and then we interject our own commentary, italicized throughout the cases and the investigation. So it helps to kind of like break things up, but also kind of give you a look into our heads and while we're going through there. So yeah, we're patting ourselves on the back for that one. That was a really cool like narrative tool that we used for it. But yeah, I think it just goes to show when you're like working for a situation to make a situation work, like you get creative and you come up with different like cool ways of doing things, even if like you're not like I'm not like a writer's writer, like, you know what I mean? Like I write, but I'm not like,
into all the technical.
Yeah, I don't sit there and wear like, cardigans and like have like a pipe and be like, yeah, Tom Yates, like, you know what I mean? I guess that's what, right. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what that looks like. You get what I mean?
I totally understand what you mean. I didn't realize you guys were going to be so funny. It's great. I mean, I didn't think you would be all stuffy either, but you're very animated. So this is fantastic. But I just wanted to thank you again for your time. I enjoyed this beyond belief, and thank you for being so gracious with your time in this way.
Thank you. This is great.
And I'm watching for the show. So
awesome.
And now I'm going to go get the book, which I had actually meant to do. And I was like, crap, what was I thinking? So
unforgivable.
Between that and Alaska, Mustafa's like, this chick's crazy.
No, I just say that because our boat almost sank when we were coming back from Haines. So like, yeah. And then the bar we were going to, the only place that was open in February in Alaska, there's literally a half a mile people are fishing for halibut, and I order halibut at this bar, and they give me like fried halibut fish sticks. I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm like
from a box.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
that's like going to New Jersey and buying toxic waste, and you get it from Colorado. It's like, you got plenty here. Like, what are you doing?
Toxic waste. That's
Jersey.
It's like, I'm getting that in there.
I'm from Jersey. I can say that. I can say that.
So funny. Oh my gosh. Well, on that note, I don't know what else to say except thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.